Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Tourism and Hospitality Service Management, SOTHSM, Master of Tourism and Travel Management, MTTM, Semester 2, MTTM 7 Managing Sales and Promotion in Tourism, Unit 3 Sales Process, 3.0 Objectives. After reading this unit, you should be able to times understand the status of personal selling in the total scheme of marketing. Times evaluate different theories of personal selling. Times understand various components of personal selling to design the personal selling effort for your organization, and times understand the steps of the actual sales process. 3.1 Introduction. The sales department of any organization aims at times expanding the customer base or increasing the market share. Times persuading the present customers to buy more of their products. Times converting uncommitted customers into committed ones. Times encouraging loyal customers to be your promoters, etc. When a salesperson contacts a housewife to sell his or her firm's vacuum cleaner, he or she is actually doing personal selling. When the salesperson visits a grocery store and persuades the owner to sell his or her company's soap products, he or she is also practicing personal selling. When a candidate wants to be selected as a manager in a company, he or she sells himself or herself to the prospective employers and practices personal selling. Today, so vast is the scope of personal selling that everybody has experienced it in one way or the other. The goal of all marketing efforts is to increase profits through sales by offering need gratification to customers. Personal selling is a major promotional method to achieve this goal. In many companies, personal selling is the largest operating expense, often totaling 7 to 13% of sales. In contrast to this, the expenses on advertising on an average are just 1 to 3% of sales for different companies. In the tourism sector, in India, most of the sale is via personal selling, as very little is spent on advertising. Only very recently the larger organizations have started advertising for increasing sales. In industrial product companies, personal selling is the major selling force. The nature of the goods in industrial products often requires certain specialized knowledge which is presented in person by the salesperson. The value of order generated by the salesperson in such a situation is so high that it makes the hiring of the salesperson an economical proposition. Apart from industrial products, personal selling is a cornerstone of selling in organizations' marketing products, which require specialized knowledge and skills. Such organizations are the ones marketing pharmaceutical products, medical instruments, or electronic products, etc. Let us also try to discover the need of personal selling effort in organizations marketing the fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG. In such organizations, the demand is often created through advertising, but it is met through the personal selling effort. For example, the salesperson of an established brand, say for soaps, does not go door to door to meet the prospects to create demand of the products, but he or she goes to the grocery store so as to ensure that the brands being advertised by the company are made available at as many retail shops as possible. Similarly, a tour wholesaler meets travel agents to check that his or her tour packages are on display, or a hotel sales executive visits a travel agency to urge them to offer their hotel rooms to clients on better rates, or say an airline's sales agent checking to ensure that its posters with latest offerings and discounts are displayed in the travel agencies. Thus, the objective of the personal Selling effort in such a situation would be more of meeting the demand already created by advertising or other promotional means rather than to create it, as in the case of industrial goods or pharmaceutical products. This unit discusses the personal selling process in detail. 3. Personal selling and marketing effort. Personal selling is one of the important parts of the total marketing mix and an essential component of promotion mix. We know that marketing mix comprises of 4 Ps, which are product, price, promotion, and place or distribution. In the case of tourism are 5. 8P also needs to be considered, i.e., people. The promotion mix, which is an important component of marketing mix, also has 4 mix parts. These are personal selling, advertising, publicity, and sales. Promotion. The above introduction would help you in understanding the significance of personal selling in the overall marketing scene. Since the personal selling effort is managed by sales management personnel, the topic is discussed under sales management and not in promotion management. In Unit 2, we mentioned that one should distinguish between personal selling and salesmanship. While personal selling forms an important element in total scheme of marketing management, salesmanship, on the other hand, is one of the skills used in personal selling. Thus, salesmanship is a part of personal selling in the same manner as personal selling a part of the promotion mix, and promotion is a part of the marketing mix. 3.2.1 Advertising and personal selling difference. Let us try to understand the difference between advertising and personal selling also, SD as to clearly distinguish between these two important components of the marketing mix. From a broad perspective, both personal selling as well as advertising are the means to communicate with the target customers for selling the product or service of an organization. To be effective, i.e., to produce results in terms of sales or orders, both should be understandable, interesting, believable, and persuasive. We shall discuss the process of designing a personal selling effort involving all these 4 criteria for effective communication. However, there are some notable differences between these two means of communication. While personal selling effort is a two-way communication process, advertising is a one-way communication. In the personal selling situation, as we have observed, the customer comes in direct contact with the salesperson who, in turn, is representing an organization. The customer can ask any number of questions so as to satisfy his queries about the product the salesperson is offering. According to Jeffrey Lancaster and David Jobber, the model for personal selling is that of a salesperson acting as a need identifier and problem solver. Point: it is the salesperson's responsibility to satisfy his or her customer on the benefits of the product. If he or she does so, he or she gets the desired sales or an order. Thus, the result of the personal selling, whether positive in terms of an order or negative in terms of no order, is also quick and easily measurable. In advertising, on the other hand, the customer does not come in direct contact with any representative of the organization. Thus, it is a one-way communication. The reactions, attitudes, or perceptions of the viewers cannot be immediately gauged in advertising. Let us also understand another interesting aspect of advertising and selling. This is about the relative importance of the two during 3 different stages of a service or product's brand's market. The 3 phases can be the pre-purchase phase, the purchase phase, and the post-purchase phase. The pre-purchase phase is characterized by the phase where the organization is trying to convince the targeted customers on the benefits of the service or product brand. The purchase phase is the time duration when the customer is making his or her mind to actually buy the service product. The post-purchase phase is one when the customer has bought the service product and is evaluating the decision. Advertising has a major role during the pre-purchase phase as the mass demand for product has to be generated. It also plays an important role in post-purchase phase as it gives sound reassurance to the purchaser that he or she has taken a sound decision in buying that product. Personal selling, on the other hand, has an important role to play in all the three phases, but it plays a major role in the purchase phase. 3.2.2 Significance of personal selling. It is important to understand the significance and objectives of personal selling effort in the overall scheme of marketing. Personal selling implements the marketing strategies. Whatever the marketing strategy of the company, it has to boil down to strategic communication targeted at customers or prospects. The persons who communicate with the prospects are the sales representatives, though different companies attach different designations to them. It is the salesmanship of the sales representatives which brings orders, the tangible results, to meet the marketing objectives. 2. Personal selling brings money to the company. It is personal selling which collects money from the customers and brings it to the company. Other components of an organization are money-utilizing components. 3. Personal selling makes the organization known. All organizations are known to their customers through their sales staff in every part of the market. Such companies invariably do not advertise. For example, companies engaged in road tourist transportation hardly advertise. Yet, their services are known in the market. This results out of personal selling as the sales representative creates goodwill for the company among the buyers, i.e., tour operators, hotels, etc. 4. Personal selling maintains and creates customers. The sales representative is the best overall manager of his or her territory. He or she has the responsibility of maintaining the current business as well as developing it. He or she meets these objectives by maintaining existing customers and developing new ones at the same time. Personal selling is a source of feedback. A company is known at the marketplace through its sales representatives, while the company also knows the marketplace through its representatives. That is why the field sales personnel are considered to be an excellent source of market information. 6. Personal selling makes new products successful. It is through the personal selling effort that a sales representative is able to provide adequate information on new products to prospective customers. Personal selling effort also ensures the availability of the product in the marketplace widely as the sales representative has developed the relationships with the trade, i.e., retailers, wholesalers, and other middlemen. The sales representative provides the information to the company on customers' response to a new product and also the competitors' activities. Thus, it can rightly be said that an organization sees and hears through the personal selling effort. Sales representatives are the eyes and ears of an organization. 3.3 Theories of selling. Before we discuss the actual process of selling, let us discuss the three main theories of selling. Times-IDAS theory. Times right set of circumstances theory. Times buying formula theory. 3.3.1 AIDS theory. This theory is based on the premise that during a sales presentation, the prospect consciously goes through 5 different stages. There are attention, interest, desire, action, and satisfaction. In fact, the name of this theory has been derived from the initial letters of these 5 words. The proponents of this theory believe that the salesperson should design the presentation in a manner which takes care of all these stages in the process of selling. The details of 5 components of IDA's theory are as follows. I. Attention. The salesperson should attract the prospect to the presentation before he or she actually goes into the details of the same. This is to ensure that the prospect becomes receptive to the presentation. Let us understand the need for securing attention. We would all appreciate the fact that usually the prospect may be busy in his or her routine jobs or his or her daily assignments. Thus, before meeting the salesperson, the prospect's mind may be involved in something other than the topic, which even remotely concerns the product about which the salesperson is going to talk. Unless the salesperson involves the prospect's mind in the presentation, his or her total effort may go unnoticed or unregistered. Drawing the prospect's attention, therefore, point tantamounts to dissociating him or her from other assignments and involving him or her in the presentation, both physically and mentally, as to gain maximum from the sales meeting. 2. Interest. Once the salesperson has successfully gained the prospect's attention, he/she should maintain the interest of the prospect throughout the presentation. In other words, the salesperson should ensure that the prospect remains glued to his or her presentation throughout its length and that he or she does not wander away from the same either mentally or physically. The salesperson should attempt to be aware of the interest, likes, dislikes, attitude, and motivation of the prospect and should proceed with the presentation, keeping in view all these factors. 3. Desire. The next step in the sales process, as per IDA's theory, is to create a strong desire in the prospect's mind to purchase the product. The salesperson should consciously try to bring the prospect into this stage of readings to the point of buying the product. He or she should concentrate on seating the benefits of the product to the prospect. One should even go to the extent of presenting benefits according to the motivation of the prospect. It is imperative to note that desire for a product can be instilled if the need can be adjudged. A salesperson should find out the needs or requirements of the prospective buyer and present the product in such a manner that it would seem to fulfill all the needs of the prospect. The salesperson should also be prepared to anticipate the resistance to his or her sales presentation in terms of objections or questions from the prospect. Not only that, one should be prepared with several answers and explanations to the anticipated objections. 4. Action. Once the salesperson has been successful in taking the prospect through the 3 stages, as discussed above, he or she should induce the prospect into actually buying the product. It would be interesting for us to understand that even after going through the 3 stages of attention, interest, and desire, the prospect may still have some doubt or some inertia which will stop him or her from taking the final decision of actually buying the product. Hence, it becomes an important task of the salesperson to help the prospect in taking the final decision. The salesperson tries to push the prospect into a situation to take a decision, and he or she exercises the technique of closing very skillfully. This is what is expected of a salesperson in this stage. Satisfaction. Once the prospect has placed an order, The salesperson should ensure that the prospect carries the impression of having taken the right decision. He or she should always thank the prospect and even go to the extent of saying, "I appreciate your choice for taking an excellent decision." The salesperson should also ensure that the delivery of the order takes place within the time frame and all other promises are kept regarding installation, free servicing, etc. Moreover, the sales person should try to keep in touch with the prospects and should keep inquiring about the efficient performance of the purchase. Different firms use various methods for this, like feedback forms, etc. 3.3.2 Right set of circumstances theory. The advocates of this theory opine that all the circumstances which lead to the sales are appropriate or right for the sales to have taken place. In other words, if the salesperson is successful in securing the prospect's attention, maintaining his or her interest, and inducing his or her desire to buy the product, the sales will result. Moreover, if the salesperson is highly skilled, then he or she will take control of the presentation, which would lead to sales. 3.3.3 Buying Formula Theory. In the earlier theories, emphasis was laid on the salesperson or the seller. In this theory, the emphasis is on the buyer. This theory emphasizes on the needs or problems of the buyer. The salesperson assists the buyer in finding an appropriate solution to the problem. This solution may be in terms of buying a particular product or service. The buying formula theory is based on the analysis of the sequence of events that goes in the buyer's mind during the sales presentation. Thus, the theory emphasizes on the factors internal to the prospect and the factors which are external, i.e., influence of the salesperson on the prospect's decision to buy the product. The theory is based on the presumption that the sales person will take care of the external factors. The sequence of events in a prospect's mind can be represented as R needs dash 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 times one solution. F dash 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 tilde times tilde I purchase I. There are all the chances that a continuous relationship will develop between the prospect and the salesperson. As a result of sales, the satisfaction will also come in the sequence. This sequence can be presented as needs solution purchase I tilde satisfaction. Furthermore, whenever a need is felt, the solution is available in the form of a product or service, or both. A product or a service belongs to some manufacturer or a marketing agency, and all of them may also have brand names. For example, if someone is feeling to eat out, she has a need. The solution lies in going to a restaurant. The sequence of events in her mind will progress from need, eating out, to solution, restaurant. The next step will be what type of food, whether it is Indian, continental, or Chinese. This step will ensure the decision on the product, say Chinese food. Now the person will think about the brand in the Chinese food restaurants category. On taking this decision about the brand, the person will go to that restaurant and the satisfaction 0-1 dissatisfaction will depend on the delivery time, taste, quality, seating space, etc. This sequence of events may thus be represented as needs, solution, brand name, purchase, satisfaction, dissatisfaction. In practice, most of the sales presentations or the personal selling efforts are based on one or a combination of these theories. 3.4 Personal selling process. In order to have a better grasp of the subject under discussion, We shall one by one discuss the various stages of the personal selling process. 3.4.1 Prospecting. Prospecting is the first and the most important component of personal selling. A sale cannot take place unless and until there is a potential buyer, i.e., customer. Prospecting consists of identification of potential customers and then to rank them in order to select the customers with the purchasing power and the authority to make the decision to buy the product. To be more productive, the sales personnel should plan their activities as far as possible. In other words, they should always do proper homework in order to utilize their time in the marketplace more productively. They should plan their travel and call schedules so as to spend maximum of the available time on meeting their customers. However, the time available should not be wasted in making an effort to convince those people who cannot buy them. Thus, the planning which involves eliminating non-productive calls is known as prospecting. It goes without saying that the time available should be spent on calling on potential buyers rather than on non-buyers. The salesperson who practice prospecting ultimately emerge out as more productive than others. In a nutshell, the result-oriented prospecting is a two-step process. Firstly, the identification tilde potential customers, and secondly, the process of selecting and ranking them. Identification of potential customers can be done with the help of sales manager who has earlier handled the target territory or has a good knowledge about the target territory. Prospecting can also be done by times collecting the list of prospects from trade associations, times looking at the directories of the individual customers' associations, times going through the response coupons provided with advertisements that provide the redeem, a scope to know more about the advertised products or services, times meeting salespersons of other companies, times meeting the prospective clients without appointments, i.e., making cold calls until and unless good prospects are found, times meeting people in the organization who can influence a sale, times responding to direct enquiries of potential customers, and times taking note of the referrals made by the present clients. Ranking of the identified prospects can be achieved by contacting the customers' present relationships at the marketplace. Dollars J. Dalrymple and William L. Cron have stated their book, Sales Management, that qualifying, i.e., ranking prospects should be based on three aspects. I. Needs lay. What are the needs of the prospect or of the company the prospect is associated with? It is helpful to know the actual need of supplies and to determine whether it is worthwhile to give more attention to the prospect. For e.g., a hotel sales executive will find it helpful to know the need or demand of rooms, conference hall facilities, and others of an organization before approaching the organization with sales discount, etc. It is quite possible to realize later on that the demand and requirements of the organization do not give much scope of profit for the hotel. 2. By authority means to find out who can actually pay for and buy the product. It would be total waste of time to explain the same thing again and again without ever getting a sales order. 3. Ability to pay means finding a prospect who has the financial ability to pay for the product or service. Providing credit to a company facing bankruptcy would mean doom for your company. Credit listings are available from banks. For example, a car manufacturer can find out about a customer from the bank in case the customer is already a bank credit card member. The objective of customers ranking is to avoid the customers with limited requirements of the company's products or the inability to buy or pay for the company's products or services. 3.4.2 Preparation to meet individual prospects. Before meeting a selected customer, the salesperson should find out as much as possible about the same. In case of an organization as a customer, the salesperson should know what products the organization is currently using and how his or her product is better than the one already in use. In other words, try to find out if there is any need or desire of the organization not being fulfilled adequately by the present suppliers. The salesperson should also find out what is the purchase procedure in the organization and what is the total budget earmarked by that organization for his or her kind of products. The salesperson should also try to find out personal likes and dislikes of prospective buyers so as to tailor make the presentation to suit the prospect. The salesperson should check on the information available about the prospective buyers and see whether some more information would be useful. The salesperson should also have a clear idea about the questions that the prospect may ask so as to prepare himself or herself to face them, such as, "Why do I need your product?" Or "Why should I buy from your company and not from so and so company?" Or "What is so special about my business clients or guests staying in your hotel?" And so on. Now, the salesperson is ready to contact the prospect and to make the presentation. It should be borne in mind that taking a prior appointment with the prospect helps exercise good time management. The prior appointment is best taken via phone calls or else personal or sales letter can also be sent beforehand for appointment. Sometimes a short personal visit for future appointment is also possible. By doing so, he or she can save on his or her, as well as the prospect's time. A planned approach is always helpful and such an opening makes a lasting impression. 3.4.3 Making the presentation. Presentation is an important component of the personal selling process. In essence, it amounts to using all the information, knowledge and skills of the salesperson so as to actually make an impact on the buyers and make sales. In this stage, a salesperson draws attention of the customers, attempts to hold the customer's interest in the offering, builds the desire for the product and finally stimulates the customer to take a favorable action towards the product, i.e., the prospect purchases the product. As discussed in the theories of selling, it involves implementing the IDA's theory of selling. 3.4.4 Draw attention. The prospect's attention can be drawn by asking a creative question or by pointing out a startling new fact about the product, by finding out the actual needs of the customer and then phrasing the question in such a manner that it actually tells the customer that your product can meet his other needs. For example, if a printer customer is looking for a printing machine which prints at double the speed of his or her present machine, the salesperson can ask, "Are you looking for a printing machine which prints at 600 prints per minute at the cost of 300 prints per minute of the currently available machine?" A salesperson of a transport company can ask guest relations officer or the administrative officer of a corporate, "Will you be interested in deluxe car transportation for your guests at the price of transportation by standard cars?" This technique of asking question to the prospects with the objective of drawing their attention to the salesperson's presentation is called the technique of probing. We have observed from the Types of questions cited above that the prospects can answer such questions in yes or no. 1. Word answer. Therefore, such probes are known as closed probes or closed questions. Though these questions help to draw the prospect's attention, these are not as effective as the questions, which give an opportunity to the prospect to come out with his or her real problems, needs, requirements. Such probes are termed as open probes or open questions. The examples of such probes can be of a salesperson selling printing machines asking a prospect, "Sir, how do you feel about the printing machine which prints 600 copies per minute?" Another example can be of a salesperson of a transport company asking the administrative officer, "How do you feel about providing deluxe car transportation to your guests?" Such open probes, it has been observed, draw better attention of the prospects than closed probes. Not only that, the prospect might be more interested in the salesperson's offerings due to an open probe. The prospect, in this situation, has spent some time thinking about his her problems while answering the salesperson's probe. Thus, at times, an open probe is better than a closed probe in drawing the prospect's attention. 3.4.5 Hold interest and build desire. After drawing attention, the salesperson should hold the interest of the customer in the sales talk. Here, there is no set pattern. Also, there is no choice other than actually demonstrating the performance of the product. In such instances where the salesperson can't demonstrate the performance of the product or service, he or she should creatively use various audio-video media to hold interest of the customers. Usually these products are intangible products such as services. In a large number of cases, the salesperson uses various promotional inputs like brochures, leaflets, gifts, visual aids, voice modulation, pitch, tone, body language, etc. to maintain the interest of customers in the presentation or the sales talk. What should be emphasized here is that these inputs are just the promotional inputs or the sales aids. Obviously, they have no effect without proper use and effective handling by the salesperson in presence of the prospect. Their effectiveness can be best utilized by a salesperson possessing the requisite skills to use these presentation inputs, and without these skills they are mere objects. So, what are the skills required for effective utilization of these presentation inputs with the objective of holding the interest of the prospect? Well, the skills are times excellent communication ability, times good command over language, times excellent knowledge about the product and the competitor's product, times ability to keep the presentation coherent and organized, times good public speaking ability, and times ability to win the customer by understanding his her needs. Moreover, before the presentation is made to the prospective buyers, the salesperson must rehearse his or her complete presentation several times at home. This will go a long way in inculcating the necessary confidence in the salesperson, which in turn will help him or her in clinching the deal or getting an order. The desire of a customer can be built by emphasizing on those benefits of the product, which meet a customer's present needs and promise the customer his or her value for money. For example, emphasizing on high mileage per liter of petrol can arouse the desire of junior level executives to buy a fuel-efficient automobile. As we know, junior executives are comparatively less paid and an economical vehicle can be the one they are looking for. In other words, the salesperson should translate the features or attributes of the product or service into the benefits that the prospect is going to desire. The prospect is not interested in the features or attributes of the product or service. He or she is only interested in benefits and how the product is going to make his or her life better. More leg space for passengers flying business class is just a feature of an airline. The benefit for the passenger means no need to fold legs during long flights, easier to sleep on flight and no cramps in the legs after the flight. Translating features into benefits is the challenge which a salesperson has to meet. It is an essential aspect of a salesperson's functioning. In the total framework of the selling process, the objective is to creatively establish a desire in the prospect for the product. 3.4.6 Sales resistance. This part of the selling process is also important. It concerns with the resistance that the prospect exhibits during a sales call. Even after proper prospecting, preparation to meet each individual, and making a winning presentation, the sales personnel can face some resistance from the prospects. Such a resistance may be exhibited, typically, in terms of objections. The objections are the sincere or insincere reasons put forth by the prospects in order to circumvent or avoid the culmination of a sales call into the actual purchase. An objection requires a tactful handling by the salesperson at its best, otherwise, it can spoil the salesperson's total effort in securing an order. The sincere objections are the real objections or real reasons put forth by the prospect for not buying the product. Insincere objections, on the other hand, are the imaginary or unreal objections. A few examples of real objections are: I have no surplus cash at the moment to buy your product, though I am convinced about its utility. I have recently bought a similar product. Sincere objections can also be put by the prospects to gather more information about the product. Like, what will you guarantee about the product, or how quickly your service network responds, or how much time your service personnel usually take to attend complaint. The examples of insincere objections are: why did you go for a green color cough medicine? Had it been red, I would have purchased it. Or, the weight of your printing press is a Bitnam ~J. Do not think our floor can accommodate its weight. 3.4.7 Meeting the sales resistance. An objection indicates that the customer has attentively listened to the presentation and the salesperson has been effective up to this stage. However, in order to handle the objections effectively, following objection handling system can be applied. I listen to objections, usually the salespersons. Do not treat customers' objections as opportunities. They treat them as customers' resistance. In protecting themselves from such a resistance, the salespersons leap on an objection even before the customer has completed the same. However, the salespersons must listen to the objections very carefully. Otherwise, if he or she is not a good listener, he or she may inadvertently irritate the customer and may lose a winning sales. Moreover, a careful listening will also give an opportunity to the salesperson to analyze the objection, whether it is sincere or insincere. Accordingly, then he or she can handle the objections. 2. Ask for details. If the objection is not clear to the salesperson, he or she should ask the customer to elaborate on the objection. Here the salesperson must avoid sarcasm and have patience. If nothing else, this technique will give more time to a salesperson to think how to utilize the opportunity. 3. Answer the objection. More often than not, the salespersons who have good knowledge of their product competitors' products, and customers can answer the objections effectively. All objections are questions and only a knowledgeable salesperson can provide the answers. After having carefully listened to an objection and having analyzed it, the salesperson should answer it politely but firmly. If it was a sincere objection like, I have no surplus cash to purchase your product, and if the salesperson has a finance option, he or she can answer, Sir, in that case, we can provide this product to you on a deferred payment plan or an installment plan. To a details gathering question, like, how quick are your service personnel to attend to a complaint, the salesperson should answer, Madam, I appreciate your concern about a quick service. I may inform you that we have one of the largest fleet of mobile service controls. As soon as your complaint is registered at our central complaint cell, it is communicated to the mobile service center of your area to immediately attend to your complaint. The salesperson should be sure about the truthfulness of the information being provided to the prospect in response to the sincere objection. The salesperson should not give wrong information to the prospect under the lure of securing an order. If he or she does so, he or she may secure this order but will lose a customer for future. Not only that, the salesperson will also lose face and the organization's name. There is a possibility that you can also be caught telling a lie or exaggerating the facts, and your superiors in the organization may not like this. While answering an insincere objection, the salesperson has to exercise more of tact than depend on his or her knowledge. 4. Confirm the answer. An effective salesperson should not leave the objection by answering it. He or she should confirm whether the customer has understood the answer or not. The customer may have missed the point. The customer might have been thinking of something else at that point of time. To confirm the answer, a salesperson can ask the customer in specific statements like, now that's settled entirely, isn't it? Or, that solves your problem with my brand, isn't it? We immediately go to the next step. After the answer has been confirmed with prospect, the salesperson should move on to the next step of personal selling process, and that is to close the sales call. 3.4.8 Closing the sales. Closing a sales is nothing but helping prospects to take decisions. Unless a salesperson bases his or her actions on this understanding, he or she would be trying to build success on false premises. Let us recognize the fact that usually the prospects have an innate feeling to oppose the decision to buy a product. Even after an excellent presentation and effective handling of the objections by the salesperson, the prospect may mentally try to dissociate himself or herself from placing an order, not because of valid and sound reasons but just because of that innate feeling to oppose the decision of buying a product. Unless the salesperson manages to push these prospects into taking the decision to buy the products, he or she can remain without getting an order. A salesperson skilled in the technique of proper closing just does that. He or she pushes the prospect into a buying decision. Alternate close. The salesperson asks the customer to choose from the two options. Salesperson: should I send you 2 boxes of 50 bottles each, OFA cough syrup, or 1 box of 100 bottles? Customer: 1 box of 100 bottles would do. Salesperson: sir, do you want the refrigerator to be delivered at your residence in the morning or 1:11 the evening? Customer: only late in the evening. What has happened? The customer has actually bought your product. Summary clause. In this type of a clause, the salesperson summarizes all his or her product benefits and asks for an order. Picture clause. Here the salesperson tries to imprint the brand name more firmly in prospect's mind and at the same time asks for an order. Salesperson, sir, you know, our company has product with the brand Metro. But for ceiling fans, it reads in the reverse order. That is, autumn. Isn't it interesting? Customer, yes, that is interesting. Please send me to set of fans. Apart from these types of clauses, an effective salesperson should also remember two more important characteristics of the clause. Firstly, to close with empathy, and secondly, to doze through their eyes. A salesperson should sincerely try to make his or her customer believe that he or she is making a good decision in buying your product and that he or she actually needs your product. As a matter of fact, an average person cannot make decisions about investing in anything without help. It is this help which should be provided by the salespersons. This is the rationale to close with empathy. A salesperson should see the benefits and features in the product from his or her potential customer's viewpoint. He or she should also see the limitations of the product through the customer's viewpoint and should close on the benefits which the customer gets. This will help a salesperson improve credibility in the eyes of the customer, which in turn will not only get him or her the sales but will also promise a future sale too. 3.5 In-reach selling. As stated in Unit 1, selling can either be in-reach or outreach. The in-reach selling starts the very moment when a prospect makes a query via the phone, mail, or in person. This gives the person staff handling the query a chance to make a sale and get a customer. The manner is which the query is handled dealt with determines the future, i.e., whether or not a sale can possibly be made. Usually, in the service industry, the receptionist or the front desk or the telephone operator deals with all the incoming queries. The query might be initiated as a result of some outreach selling activities of the organization or due to the influence of a third party such as a previous customer. As Neil Verne and Alison Morrison state in their book Hospitality Marketing, the prospect is already half sold and requires some reassurance to make the final decision. It is imperative that the front desk reception staff and the telephone operators are given a proper training and inputs to deal with the prospective clients and their queries. These are people who hold the key to make the prospective clients into regular and permanent clients. Both the management and the personnel should understand the importance of those positions. These are the staff who give the first impression about an organization. Once the staff realize their crucial position, they will provide the best service possible. Every organization needs to follow a few guidelines while training the staff. The guidelines are: time, staff should not discriminate on the basis of race, color, ability, or non-ability to pay, sex, or others. Time, staff should be friendly, helpful, and pleasant, and never try to be overbearing. The customer should feel comfortable and among friends. Times, any complaint, enquiry, suggestion should be followed through immediately, only factual details and no fiction should be passed on to the customers in reply to their queries and complaints. Time, staff should always remember that no query or complaint is too small for them to handle. They should not be dismissive of the customer's query or complaint. Times it is necessary to keep in touch with customers after the service is provided. This will ensure that the one-time customer becomes a permanent customer. In addition to the above, all the staff dealing with customers should remember a few in reach. Sales procedure, source, Neil Verne and Alison Morrison, hospitality marketing. Times greet customers immediately. Do make eye contact. Times answer the phone within 3 rings. Times understand what the client wants. Give the customer undivided attention. Times ask the name of the client and address the client by name. Times act as an advisor and problem solver. Times make the transition easier for the client. Times always be pleasant and friendly and never be cold and robotic. Times do not argue. Times do use common sense. Times ask for superiors' help if the need so arises. Times do not pass the buck. Provide help or apologize as the need be. Times try not to be bound by the rule books. Service industry, as the name suggests, provides services. Service providers should avoid selling to the clients, point blank. The clients are the guests requiring services and staff should always remember this. The staff can achieve its target by being friendly and warm where rules and logics would fail. An important point to consider is that, in case of service industry, last impression is just as important and lasting as the first impression. 3.6 Summary. Personal selling is an important component of overall marketing effort of an organization. The association of personal selling in total scheme of things in the overall view of marketing is that it is an important component of promotion mix. Its significance in total marketing effort can't be underestimated as the personal selling implements the marketing strategies, brings money to the company, makes the organization maintain and create customers, makes new products successful and works as a feedback source. The personal selling process is a scientific process involving the creative utilization of various steps like prospecting, preparation to meet individual prospects, making the presentation, and meeting the objection to closing the sales. It is the creative implementation of the concepts of drawing attention, holding interest, building the desire, and stimulating the action, which makes the presentation very effective. An effective salesperson should close a sales presentation when times the customers have mostly been listening and suddenly start asking a lot of questions. Times when the customers favor an alternate close, and times when the customers give a positive stimulus at the right time. There are certain other aspects which successful salespersons have learned through experience. For example, do not make a sales call at odd hours or when the prospect is busy in other work. Don't force yourself on the prospect. Try to know the environment of the territory you are covering, like security regulations in a colony, power cut timings, etc. Do not press the doorbell for long, it will irritate the prospect. This completes our discussion on the process of personal selling. It goes without saying that a salesperson who practices various steps of this process sincerely and diligently would definitely become an ace salesperson.